Hi, everybody. It's Dee here with Dee and Renee's Low Carb Cooking. And we're just going to wait a few minutes here for Renee to join us. We're just having a few technical difficulties today. And I'm just going to chat here and wait a little and watch while we wait for our audience, for some folks to log on and join us today while we go live to talk about fall's premier seasoning, pumpkin spice. So there is always a plethora of pumpkin spice recipes as soon as the fall weather hits, and in true form, it is feeling very fallish in southern Alberta today. I have just returned home last night from the San Diego area, where the temperatures every day were in the 70s and 80s, and the sun was out, and it was just absolutely beautiful and phenomenal. And last night, our plane landed in Calgary, and it was 7 degrees Celsius. So I'd have to I have to figure out the Fahrenheit. It was raining, it was cold, we needed jackets. And so, of course, we are rolling into fall and pumpkin spice. So today we are going to talk about recipes where you may use pumpkin spice. And we're going to talk about some vegetable vehicles that can help you achieve some awesome faux pumpkin recipes. So very often when you see my recipes, you're going to see things like rutabaga puree or turnip puree. And very, very often I get the question saying, well, what is that? How do I make that? And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today too, but I'm also going to give you that in actual recipe form as well. Here's our beautiful Renee.
Hey, everybody. Unfortunately, we're all out of order now. So I'm gonna let's see, I'm afraid to pop down because I didn't pop up in the right scenario here. So whatever. And if you know, we're running a little, I'm sorry, I'm exasperated today. I'm having some tech difficulties. Okay, so hi Dee, how are you?
I'm good. I was just rambling on a little bit while we were getting going there.
Okay, well, you were doing a great ramble. So yes, I am broadcasting from Northern California, where it is absolutely not like the fall, and it's about 86 degrees outside. And Dee is up in northern, or is it kind of like mid Canada? Are you kind of?
We're to the west, so we're called. We're to the western part of Canada. Down east would be Toronto, that area, and we're Western Canada. So we're the prairie provinces. And I'm just trying to think of, for any folks out there that are watching that are familiar with the map, my closest contact to the U.S. is Montana. So if I look at a map, Montana is to the south of me. So we're south of the border, if that makes sense.
And so, well, we're having one of those days. So Dee has created these amazing, beautiful pictures, Dee, of all of your pumpkin spice. And it's so funny because I've been watching everybody post their Starbucks pumpkin spice or Pete's or whatever your favorite coffee is, Phil's, and so many different ones nowadays. But, let's take a look. I won't even tell you what the calorie count is on all of those, or the fat count, or the everything count, right? The sugar count is what we were most uninterested in. So Dee has created all these amazing recipes today. And we are going to be giving away a cookbook at the end of the show today. So if you find something that you love, I want you to say #live and tell us what really sparked you today. What did you learn? Try to give us a nugget. I love nuggets of wisdom. And so give us a nugget of wisdom, #live, and a nugget of wisdom. So we have a few people to say hello to, and Kathy says, hi ladies, I love pumpkin flavors. And Ellen says, yes, hello from Richmond. And did you notice I changed our colors today? We're orange today for pumpkin spice. I got something right out there.
That's awesome.
Okay, so I'm going to pop this up here, Dee, and if you want the recipes from today's broadcast, remember they come on Mondays. And you have to be subscribed to our newsletter. And all you have to do is type in the words newsletter, and it's a 2-step process. If you already get our newsletter, you're going to get these recipes on Monday. So I'm going to pop this up here. And of course, see, still we're, yay, I got the recipes in the right order. So, Dee, I'm going to let you start talking, and I've got to do some technical behind the scenes things here. So there you go. So
this is the actual pumpkin spice latte protein drink mix from Ideal Protein. So today's recipes, they are going to contain a lot of packets in the theme of baking and preparing. And this pumpkin spice latte, you can make a really rich, creamy, hot drink from that packet. And this drink actually has a 1/4 cup of pureed rutabaga in it. And it is flavored with the pumpkin spice and our maple syrup, our sugar-free maple syrup. So as always, I'm going to give a little shout out to you. If you are in the US, I'm going to recommend actually that you use the Walden Farms maple syrup, because a 1/4 cup is a serving, and that's a lot of syrup. If you're using the Ideal Protein maple syrup, 1 tablespoon is a serving. So there's a big difference in sweetener amount there. So I always want to give a shout out to that. But we're going to use traditional pumpkin spice, the rutabaga puree, and the pumpkin latte. We're going to heat it up in a saucepan until it's beautiful, thick, and frothy, and enjoy. It is that simple. Adding the pureed rutabaga makes it really hearty, really filling, and it goes a long way. So you're actually going to get like a 2-cup serving of hot latte out of this recipe, and very aromatic, and it's just good. I just don't, if you are not a big breakfast eater, but really enjoy a little bit of a sweet treat in the morning, and I know so many of you do. I know we sound like we pick on folks when we talk about Starbucks, but really it is evil in a cup. Your Mocha Boca Choca, skinny, extra foam, a bazillion carbs and sugar is really not good for you, whether you're on a plan or off a plan, because it's liquid calories, folks, and we want you to eat really good food. So this is an awesome way to enjoy a really thick, creamy latte. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Dee, can you turn your sound down a little bit? Okay. So remember that if you are joining us, make sure that you, if you want to get the recipes, you type in the word newsletter. If you would like to win Dee's Baking Cookbook, all you have to do is give us a #live and your favorite nugget of wisdom that you've learned on today's show, and we're going to pick a winner at the end. Sherry says it's 95 in Texas, but we still love our pumpkin spice. I know, isn't that funny?
That's awesome.
Yeah. What is your favorite pumpkin, or what is your favorite syrup brand? Do you have a specific brand that you love, Dee?
You know, I am a fan. So I actually don't use a lot of the sweetened syrups, except really around this time of the year. A little bit at Christmas, a little bit at the fall. I do like the Jordan Skinny Girl syrups. One of the reasons why is they just have such a vast variety of flavors. And they do a really great job of having small and large bottles, if that makes sense. And I actually have some right here. I should actually grab them and give a little preview of them. But they're fantastic for, especially as a sweetener with pumpkin spice. So they're great in oatmeals. They're great in lattes. They're great in pancakes, in cakes, in pies, and when you're looking for that little bit of hint of sweet, and they offer a lot of flavor. One thing that you really have to remember is that these sweeteners, I can't even remember what it is, if it's 10,000 times or what the actual number is. They're
it's
actually
1,000 times is what Chris told us.
It is.
Yeah.
So they're so much sweeter than regular sugar, that I really advise that you start really slow and with smaller amounts. So it might say on the bottle that 1 fluid ounce is a serving, but you know what? Start with a teaspoon and then go to 2 teaspoons. Work your way up. If you really think something needs a tablespoon, but very rarely are you going to need, a full ounce of this flavoring, because it is so strong. And you want the flavor to come through, not just the sweet. You want to get the essence of all those good flavors that are in there. And actually, I'll get my son to hand me a couple of the bottles here while we're going, and then so I can just kind of give you a little preview. But yeah, so there's kind of my schmeal on the sweeteners. And of course, maple syrup, Walden Farms and Ideal Protein maple syrup. Those are a must-have sweetener in the cupboard. Can you hand me that bottle? Yeah. And then this one, and then the little baby ones might be downstairs.
Karen said she's been bragging about your show here to everybody. So there you go. No pressure there.
Hey, Max, hand me that other one. Thanks, Karen. I'm a lucky girl, and I get to see Karen again in Vancouver in a little bit, in October. Yeah. So that's exciting. So I'm going to try, this is a maple, which way am I going here?
You're good.
This is a maple bourbon, sugar-free one, comes out in fall. This one I'm going to keep talking. This one, places like Marshall's and Homesteads.
Home Goods. I get mine at Home Goods.
At where, Renee?
At Home Goods, which is like TJ Maxx.
Oh yes, and so then here's like some Skinny Girl.
Yep.
Syrups. This one's pumpkin caramel. Downstairs, I have a little coffee bar set up where I work, and I actually have, what I like about Skinny Girl is they have small bottles. So very often at this time of the year, they'll have like a 3-pack of different flavors that you can try out, but in the smaller versions. And I love that, because then you don't get sick of them, or you don't get stuck with this great big bottle that you're not going to get through. But not just for folks that are actually trying to lose weight, but we recommend these syrups for diabetics. We have a lot of type 1, type 2 diabetics. They're still looking for a little bit of sweetness in their tea, coffee, puddings, yogurts, things like that. Greek yogurt with a tiny little bit of these skinny syrups. There, boom, you have a dessert. You really do. That simple. So they have their place. They really do.
Yeah, I think it's important that you and particularly if you have any kind of digestive issues, if you have IBS or any kind of like small intestinal issues, if you experience bloating on a regular basis, probably your sugars and syrups like this aren't so great for you. So unfortunately, use little tiny bits or be careful with them.
Start slow. Slow and slow.
Yeah. Tell us about these pancakes, Dee.
So again, these pancakes, this is just the plain pancake mix from Ideal Protein. It's a great product. It's a great vehicle for, of course, making breads, waffles, or just as designed, pancakes. And they also have a quarter cup of rutabaga puree in them. So what I do is I make big batches of rutabaga puree, And then I flavor them with sugar-free maple syrup and pumpkin spice, and that it is my faux pumpkin. It is my vehicle for a lot of baking. If you find that rutabaga is a little too strong for you, then you can try turnip. It still is going to mimic pumpkin. And when you're making the purees, we're gonna give you that recipe. It's just really, really important that you drain off excess liquid and water so that you get that nice thick consistency as if you were using pumpkin. Turnips are a select vegetable. Rutabaga is your occasional vegetables. So it also comes maybe a factor when you're doing your recipes that you might use turnip sometimes just so that you're not using all your occasional in one shot. I prefer rutabaga for these recipes. It is just a little bit heartier, a little bit sturdier, and bakes up really fine. And of course, as always, I'm a super big fan of putting vegetables into my food, into my baking, into my presentations. We still see so many clients that have a lot of trouble reaching their 4 cups of vegetables when they first start out. And so there is nothing wrong with pureeing them, blending them down, blending them into your drinks, adding them to your food, baking with them, all those types of things. And so it is a great option out there to help your clients achieve vegetable consumption. And if they're super picky, it's also a great way to get introducing them because they're not really just tasting the raw veggie on its own. It really gets a lot of help from your protein packed flavors, from your spices, from your sweeteners, those types of things.
All right. So I love that. Rutabaga is an amazing vegetable and certainly one that I never tried until Ideal Protein. We would love for you to give us a hashtag live and then a nugget of wisdom that you have learned on this show. And you will be put in the drawing for a free cookbook download. So let's say hi, Suzanne out in Texas, and Joelle. Hello, Joelle.
Hello.
Nice to see you. And Joelle's given us a hashtag live. Give us your nugget of wisdom that you are learning on this show. So next up here is going to be, I'm having so many great things going on with my camera today. All right, so I had to ask Dee, so what's in the cream colored bowl? And I have to tell you, you know how I always put my favorite picture last? I couldn't even decide a favorite picture. Give Dee the thumbs up if you love all these pictures. I think she outdid herself with the pumpkin pictures. And Sherry is our first to give us a nugget of wisdom. She needs to find some rutabaga. Yes, you do.
Now, if you don't have it in your favorite grocery store, you just get your produce manager to bring it in for you. I often find that it's a pretty universal veggie worldwide, actually. So if they don't have it, just speak to them and try to get them to bring it in.
Oh, I love it. So this is pumpkin spice baked maple oatmeal. Like, who doesn't love the sound of that?
It is so good and so simple and so hearty. So for those of you that love breakfast, or heck, even lunch or a mid-afternoon snack, it makes a delicious, that little pie plate is, that little dish, baking dish is, 6 inches across and a good almost 3 inches deep. It makes a fantastic serving. Again, you're going to bake your puree in there. I did use an egg in this one. Your spices, your choice of sweetener. I did reserve just a teaspoon of the oatmeal to sprinkle on top for a garnish, almost like a little bit of a crumble, if you will. And it's almost like a cake, but it's not. Like, it still has the really nice grainy oatmeal texture. Very filling, but again, you can make ahead You can make ahead, and you can reheat it later on in the day if you didn't want to eat it for breakfast.
Oh, wow. That sounds great. And you know, Dee has some great recipes for overnight oats too. If you're not on Dee's recipes group, get over there. Let's see. So we got another hashtag live, how to add veggies to even oatmeal. Yes, that's an awesome one. And Joelle adds to her hashtag live. I've learned so much, but I think the best tip was to whip the oil and egg whites a bit frothy before mixing with the dry ingredients for baking. Makes so much more volume. And also using the grapeseed oil for baking. Yeah. So great tips. We love, we love sharing, and I love learning all these things too. Not probably that I do much with them. So I make my customers bake for me.
Yeah, nice. That's
hey,
perfect.
I'm doing a workshop. Can you guys? Would you make me something? They're awesome. I have awesome customers.
That's awesome.
So this is pumpkin spice pie, right?
Yeah, and so a few years ago, I did a faux pumpkin pie, and the filling turned out so amazing. But when I originally posted and shared the recipe, my crust instructions caused grief around the globe because they didn't understand what I was saying. So I had said to prepare a plain pancake and press it in the bottom of your pie pan, and folks were pouring their unmade pancake into the bottom of the pie pan. Just as like pancake liquid, and then trying to and so I thought I need to do a better job. But in the meantime, I have made actual pie crust out of the vanilla drink mix. So an actual rolled out pie crust, and it's super tasty too. And so I've worked on tweaking my pumpkin pie recipe. And so you can bake the filling on its own without any crust, or now I have a few different options for you to make a crust for that pumpkin pie. And in your filling, you could use the pumpkin pie or the pumpkin spice latte, or just plain vanilla drink mix, or you can, there's lots more options now that we have an actual pumpkin spice drink. So this pumpkin pie is probably my most favorite baking recipe that I have ever done, because it really does mimic pumpkin pie.
I of course probably will never ever taste it because Dee's not here to like make me stuff.
I'll come make it for you. I'll FedEx you one.
Yeah. Isn't that weird? People buy baked goods online, but hey, whatever. All right. Kathy says, hashtag live, don't just use recommended serving for syrups. Taste first and add sparingly to avoid being too sweet. Yes, that's a biggie. That's such a great one. Suzanne says she loves it. Okay, so and honestly, people that have tried Dee's pumpkin pie just rave about it and bake it any time of the year.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have Dee's recipe book yet, we're going to give one away at the end of this show, but you got to give us a hashtag live with your favorite nugget of wisdom. And Jill says, yep, her pie really does taste like pumpkin pie. So I know it's hard to imagine that while you are losing weight, supposedly on, let's not use really the word diet, but, while we're changing our lifestyle, there's a lot of different things that we can try. And remember that you don't have to be on Ideal Protein to use these kinds of recipes. So if you have a protein, there's lots of protein products out there. If there's a pancake protein or an oatmeal protein, you're using a different line of proteins, it's totally okay. They're all going to work. And so it's really amazing. Sherry says her son is starting the program this weekend and pumpkin pie is his favorite. Oh, that's so sweet. I love a mom who, I have a customer who her daughter is going to Santa Clara University, and she bakes for her every week and takes her over her little phase 1 goodies because the dorm is filled with junk. Yeah. And So I love that, you know, moms really understand and take care of us. And Renee says, hello. Hey, Renee, how are you? Okay, so it was interesting because I was looking at some of the stats from our shows, and you know, usually there's 40%, 45%. Those are kind of high numbers that people really download the recipes and that kind of thing, or comment or what have you on the recipes. And it was interesting because the Easter show had like 78%. 78% of the people open that link. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so good to hear, Renee. I'm glad you're doing great. So if you love pumpkin spice latte, give us a thumbs up. I don't know, maybe there's a pumpkin emoji, but for sure, if you would like to get in the contest today for the ebook giveaway, the download, all you have to do is give us a hashtag live and give us your nugget of wisdom. So tell us what you learned on this broadcast. All right. There's nothing like a good looking creme brulee. And I don't know if it's just your picture, but this looks amazing.
It is. It turned out beautiful. It's very simple to make, very, very simple to make. You're basically going to just whisk your ingredients together on low heat, and you're going to pour it in your little ramekins, and you're going to pour it in a baking dish and fill that baking dish with some boiling water halfway up to the sides of your ramekins, cover and bake. And voila, if you want to put that nice burned top on it, if you have a kitchen torch for that purpose, you can use that, or you can simply pop her back in the oven to broil with a little bit of sugar on top. And you're going to get that nice burnt sugar topping. And so, as I have to tell you, I was really, really impressed that when I was making the pumpkin spice creme brulee, my daughter's like, oh yeah, burnt sugar. And I said, how did you know that? She turns out, she's like, I'm smart. Like, I didn't know the first time that I ever had heard of creme brulee, right? I'm like, okay, it's a dessert. I didn't know that creme brulee meant burnt sugar the first time that I had heard that. But apparently my sassy 15-year-old knew that because she was so smart. So there you go.
What are you torching on top?
So you sugar. Yeah. So when you are done and our faux sweeteners, they caramelize on top just like real sugar. So once you're done baking your creme brulee, it's actually going to rest in your fridge. Overnight is best. 24 hours is best. And that beautiful cream sets into its, I call it almost like it's like a luscious pudding to me. And then your burnt sugar topping, you do that just prior to serving. So you put that beautiful burnt sugar crust on the top just before you would serve it to yourself or to your guests. So traditionally, you would sprinkle your sugar, real sugar, over top and then broil it or torch it with a nice little kitchen torch. And so I actually used granular sweetener and did the exact same method to see if it would work, and it does. So
okay, so what is this, like Splenda, Swerve? What is this?
This one was Splenda.
Okay.
The sucralose blend. And I have to be honest with all of you, I very, very rarely use granular sugar-free sweetener. I very rarely use it in our baking recipes. Very, very rarely. I don't use it in sugar, or I don't use it in tea or coffee or anything like that as well. When it comes to most of my baking recipes, I actually prefer to use our maple syrups and those types of vehicles just because a little goes a lot longer way. So the average serving of a granular sweetener is 1 teaspoon. And so you can burn through sweetener, that kind of granular sweetener. However, it took very, very little to put the nice burn top on the creme brulee here. Now, You don't need to burn the tops either. You don't need to crisp it up. You could simply just enjoy it as a really delicious creamy pudding as well. So
Yeah, that like everybody's like, yum. Carla
yeah.
said, looks yummy. I got to visit with Carla out in Las Vegas. We were sitting next to Carrot Top at the bar. And Joelle's got some fun emojis here. And Renee's giving us a thumbs up. I love it. Okay, so.
And all three of those little ramekins that was one ideal protein vanilla drink mix. Made the three, yeah. So,
and
yeah.
you get 3 creme brulees. Think about that. What would it be like to go to dinner and order 3 creme brulees?
Right.
Okay, last but not least, and I did love this picture, is our pumpkin spice cookies. So remember, if you're on here live and you would like to join the contest at the end, we're doing #live and your nugget of wisdom. Give us a nugget of wisdom you've learned on today's show. We will enter you into the baking book contest. So tell us about these cookies.
Sorry. So many of you know that I absolutely love to make cookies out of the caramel mug cake. I think it is a dessert all in itself. I think it is one of those products that really outdoes the restricted products hand down, but it also makes beautiful cookies. I've been making cookies out of that guy for 5 years, and of course, I always love to put veggies into those cookies. One that you may recognize is a chayote caramel mug cake cookie. It works and turns out perfect every time, and they are so good. And so these ones are the pumpkin spice with rutabaga chocolate pumpkin spice cookies. And again, they don't disappoint. It is like having a beautiful soft breakfast cookie, and everything you see on that plate, it's one packet of caramel, chocolatey caramel mug cake. And so again, you get a large serving. So if you're feeling like, and here's the thing. It doesn't matter if you are on a low sugar, low carb eating plan. If you want to have a healthy cookie for breakfast, lunch, snack, after supper with your tea, you can. Eating healthy doesn't have to taste bad. You don't have to feel deprived. You don't have to feel guilty for enjoying the food you eat. And so that is a really big pleasure of mine, is creating things that people, say, I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. I think it's really important.
It is really important. And you know what? I love all of these recipes. And I love that the freedom that Dee has offered to every low carb client out there, every person that wants to change their lifestyle to something that works for them, everybody that, instead of everybody else sitting around the table, chowing down on cookies, cake, pizza, whatever, there's some healthy options that have been created for you. And that's one of the reasons that Dee and I connected. Over almost 2 years ago. I think our first veggie show was in October or early November of 2017. And we started the low carb cooking show in May of 2018, and we've never looked back. But just I love that it's something that we can offer to thousands of people. It's really fun for me to watch the numbers go as people share, as clinics share. We love all of our Ideal Protein clinics or any kind of wellness clinic that shares. It's such a great service that you offer to your clients to let them see how easy it can be to make lifestyle changes that can be permanent. So Dee, we're getting, we're always running late. But we have about 5 minutes, and one of the things that we wanted to do today, of course, is to honor 9/11. And all of the people that grieve on a day like today. Sadly, 5 years ago, I lost beautiful friend of mine happened to be on 9/11. Not 10 years. I remember when 9/11 happened. Yeah, and Dee was saying how she also has a relative. And so we want to honor those people today and just talk for a quick, maybe 3 minutes, Dee, about emotions.
Yeah. Grief is a very real thing, and unfortunately, in the circle of life, most of us are going to experience grief many times over, and with that comes, you know, lots of us turn to certain things. So many people have addictions. If you don't have an addiction that you turn to, many become despondent, depressed, those kind of things. It really can cause a lot of upheaval in everyday life. And along the way, a lot of folks get lost, they lose themselves, they forget to find the joy that is left in their life. Today, you know, I have an aunt and uncle and a family that are, you know, celebrating the birthday of a son that they lost. Today is his birthday. They didn't lose him today, but this was his birthday. And so on such a sad day for many, it is still such a joyous day for many, because of course that maybe be the day that, you know, maybe you got married that day, maybe a loved one was born that day, maybe you met somebody that day, you know, maybe your lives changed positively. So she wrote something today that was really pivotal, and that, you know, he's always in their hearts and it's never going to not hurt, but their story isn't finished. They're still writing their story. And even though such a profound, sad thing has happened to them, so many joyous things are still happening in their story, and their story is not over. And I was able to actually have a visit with this aunt at the beginning of August, and she had looked better than I have ever seen her in her entire life. And she had decided that she was here and she wanted to be healthy, and she has a new grandson, and she just wanted to be the best her that she could be, regardless of what life was giving her. And so that was the decision. It was the decision that she made, and I think a really super tough one and a really super brave one. And she found it in her own timeline. And I think that's really important too, not to set limits on when grief starts and ends, because it's, you know, I don't think it's a realistic expectation. I think that when you hold grief in your heart, it is because it's just profound love, and that will never leave you. So on days like today, one of my very best friends, she also had a son born today. And so she actually apologized today for posting, you know, a birthday post while so many others are suffering on this sad day. And I actually felt bad for her, that she felt that she had to apologize for celebrating the wonderful birth of her son, because you know what, you don't, you know, we all deal with things. We can't apologize for all the wonderful things that happen in the midst of the terrible things. And like always, I'm talking a lot, but a couple days ago, I did a tour of the USS Midway, and my husband is very interested in history and war and all those types of things, and it was something he really, really wanted to do. And I couldn't help every step on that ship, every level of that ship, right down to of course, I checked out the kitchen and the galley and you know, the boiler room. I felt profound sadness every step of that ship, on that ship, just to think of, you know, those who went before us and sacrificed so that we have the amazing lives that we have.
Yeah. I love all of those words, Dee, and you never ever disappoint, which I love partnering with Dee because of that. We give each other a lot, and whether it's online or offline, we try to take care of each other. So, Dee, on that note, thank you so much. And we hope everybody is having an okay day. We know it's a This is a tough day for many, many people. We want to honor that. And we look forward to seeing you next week. And all right, before we go, I didn't get a lot of hashtag live. So give me your favorite number between 1 and 5.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh.
What's your favorite number?
Let's go 3.
Okay, so we've got, let's see, we have Sherry, Jeannie. All right, Kimberly, you win the cookbook download. So I'm going to send you a private message. And so Kimberly is the winner. And we will see everybody next week. And so have a good one, everybody. And I will reach out to you, Kimberly. Congratulations. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.